Was Diana Ross someone whom you felt you were like?
No. Never.
When it comes to powerhouse voices that changed the game, Diana Ross and Whitney Houston stay at the top. No debate. These two didn't just sing, they owned the stage, shaped entire eras, and had that star energy nobody could touch. But it wasn't just about the music. These women had a real connection, maybe not the type where they were calling each other every night, but the mutual respect, it was
younger,
deep.
newer artists
There was that one unforgettable moment when Diana stopped her whole show just to run into the crowd and hug Whitney. That wasn't for clout. That was real emotion. So when Whitney tragically passed in 2012, the world stood still. Fans cried. Artists paid tribute. The biggest names showed up to honor her legacy. But then, silence from Diana. She didn't pull up to the funeral. Nothing. And that got people talking. Why would someone Whitney looked up to, someone so admired, just not show?
I like seeing it.
Was it too painful to face? Or was there something way messier behind the scenes that we never knew about? Because missing a farewell that big don't just happen without a reason. Did Diana Ross know something the rest of us didn't? That's the question that's had fans whispering for years. Some folks still believe Whitney's death wasn't just some tragic accident. They think foul play might have been involved. So now the big question is, was Diana skipping that funeral her way of quietly saying something wasn't right? See, not everybody's buying the "they were besties" storyline. Sure, Whitney praised Diana, calling her a role model and an icon. But behind the glam and smiles, insiders say the vibe was tense. Real tense. Word in the industry is, Diana might not have been too happy seeing Whitney rise up as the new queen. Whitney was the fresh voice, crossing over to the mainstream, grabbing the spotlight. And not just grabbing it, owning it. That kind of global stardom don't sit easy with everybody, especially when you once held that same crown. And there were definitely whispers about competition, jealousy, and diva pride clashing behind the scenes. People even said Diana felt some type of way about Whitney being celebrated like she used to be.
Now, the other women that you paid tribute to in your special was Aretha.
Yes.
Dionne Warwick.
Yes.
And Diana Ross.
Yeah.
And why those three women?
I just thought, like, Dionne's my cousin. I know her songs real good. I've known Aretha basically all my life. And Diana, I just thought, at this point in time, I've never really seen anybody give Diana real props. You know what I'm saying? I never saw anybody and she's got some great stuff, man. And she's set a pathway for us, whether we know it or not, for women like me to walk through, I do.
And who could forget that messy Mariah Carey moment when Whitney got asked about Diana while the two were rumored to be beefing? Let's be real. Diana Ross and Whitney Houston were in a league of their own. Anytime folks talk about the greatest voices ever, these two are always brought up together. From tribute shows to music documentaries, their names stay locked in when it comes to legendary women who changed the music game forever. And while the streets talk about tension, there's also no denying the mutual respect these two icons had for each other. Diana always spoke highly of Whitney. No shade, no slick talk, just love. And Whitney? She made sure to show her appreciation too. During her 1998 world tour, Whitney straight up paid tribute to Diana on stage in front of thousands. One moment that really showed their bond, that night in Beverly Hills in '92, Muhammad Ali's 50th birthday. The two divas hit the stage together to perform "You've Got a Friend" by Carole King. And that wasn't just a random duet, it was a moment. In the same era, Whitney also presented Diana with a major songwriters award, giving her flowers while she was still on top. And Diana returned that energy, inviting Whitney on stage during one of her world tours. When Whitney Houston passed, everyone expected Diana Ross to show up. I mean, this was someone Whitney looked up to, praised in interviews, even called her a mentor. So when Diana was nowhere in sight at the funeral, fans were stunned.
Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
Yeah, Diana did release a statement after Whitney's death, saying she was heartbroken and asked for privacy. But here's where it gets weird. Allegedly, Diana also asked Whitney's family not to mention her name during the service. Like, what? That's not just staying home? That's distancing yourself on purpose. And now folks are asking the real questions. Was this just grief and personal boundaries? Or did Diana Ross know something that made her want to stay far away? Was she protecting herself? Or was her silence actually a silent protest? Because let's be honest, Whitney's death didn't sit right with a lot of people. Reports said it was accidental drowning in a hotel bathtub, but toxicology found traces of coke in her system, plus weak Xanax and some other stuff. Now here's where things start getting real sketchy. The official story said Whitney might have had a heart attack caused by hardened arteries, passed out, and drowned in that hotel bathtub. Sounds believable, until you look deeper. Turns out the coroner didn't actually find proof of any heart attack. Nope. All they found was mild heart disease and a little artery blockage. Nothing wild, just what a lot of heavy smokers already got. So that whole heart gave out theory, that didn't hold up in the autopsy. And the drugs? Yeah, there was some coke in her system, but not enough to kill her. Same with the Xanax and the other stuff. She had it in her, but in low amounts. So that means her passing wasn't from an overdose either. It wasn't a heart attack. It wasn't drowning in the way we've been told. So what did happen in that bathroom? Even creepier. There wasn't enough water in Whitney's lungs to confirm that she drowned the way they claimed. That got folks thinking maybe she didn't pass out and slide under the water like the report said. Maybe she was already unconscious, or worse, already gone, before someone put her in that tub. That water was scalding hot. She would have struggled to get out unless something, or someone, made sure she couldn't. And just when you thought it couldn't get any shadier, check this out.
I want the world to know that Bobby Christina did not die from the bathtub incident. That's not what killed Bobby Christina.
What killed Bobby Christina?
Bobby Christina was starved to death.
Right after Whitney was found, there were rumors flying that her body showed signs of trauma. Some claimed there were bruises on her arms and back, like maybe there was a struggle before she ended up in that tub. And get this, people inside that hotel said the water in the bathtub was still crazy hot hours after she was found. Like, who runs a bath that hot? And why didn't she get out? Some said her skin had signs of burns from the heat, which don't make sense if she just dozed off. That ain't normal. Then there's the timeline. Reports say Whitney was seen partying just hours before, acting normal, laughing, chatting, nothing that screamed danger. But a few hours later, she's found lifeless in a tub that could have cooked her? Nah, that don't add up. And let's not ignore how fast everything was swept under the rug. The investigation got quiet real quick. No deep questioning, no solid follow-up, just a fast wrap-up, a closed casket, and silence. From the way things went down, it's not far-fetched to think the person who placed Whitney in that bathtub never even left the suite. Think about it. What if they were already inside the room the whole time, laying low, waiting for the perfect moment? Then, when all the chaos broke out after Whitney was found, they could have just slipped out like they belonged there, and nobody would have batted an eye. Now let's talk about those bruises. Whitney had marks on her arms, legs, and shoulders. That's not something you just get from slipping underwater. This wasn't no clumsy accident. Those sound like signs of a physical altercation, but nobody ever gave a solid answer about how they got there. And here's the part that really gets people talking. Just before she died, Whitney crashed an interview with Brandy Monica and Clive Davis. In front of everyone, she handed Brandy a mysterious note, just slipped it to her out of nowhere.
Do you approach that?
He knows what happened. I don't know what happened that night, but he does.
And to this day, Brandy won't say what was on that note. She was asked again later, and all she said was, "I'm gonna just not say what it was and keep it to myself for my own personal reasons." Now here's where things start feeling chilling. A lot of folks believe Whitney gave that note to Brandy on purpose, right there on camera, just in case something happened to her. And if you watch the footage closely, it's like Whitney planned it. She slid that note over to Brandy quick, then shifted all her attention to Monica and Clive, almost like she was distracting everyone else so Brandy could read it without being noticed. And let's not forget, Whitney was soaking wet, but still fully dressed, just popping into a recorded interview. That wasn't no random hey girl moment. She had a mission. She kissed Brandy, handed her the note, And if you really listen, you'll hear Whitney say, "I nearly drowned today." That's not something you casually mention. Now here's what gets people even more suspicious. Brandy talks a lot when it comes to good memories, but when it comes to that note, she clammed up fast. She won't say a word, and the look on her face when Whitney handed it to her, that said everything. Whatever was in that note, it wasn't sunshine. And if Whitney knew something was coming, maybe that was her last cry for help, caught right there on camera. And let's not act like Whitney was acting totally fine in the days leading up to her death either. People close to her said she looked off, like something was eating at her. She was showing up to rehearsals late, moving around erratically, and even had moments where she seemed paranoid. One witness even said she kept looking over her shoulder, like she felt someone was watching her. There were also strange reports from the hotel staff. Loud arguing was heard coming from her room hours before her body was found. But when security checked, everything was suddenly quiet. No follow-up, no real investigation, just brushed off like it was nothing. And remember that big Clive Davis pre-Grammy party that was happening in the same hotel? Whitney was supposed to attend, but never made it. Meanwhile, her body was upstairs, while the industry kept partying downstairs. That part always rubbed people the wrong way. How can there be a celebration in full swing while a music legend's body is literally lying lifeless a few floors up? It's like the whole scene was carefully staged, like people knew, but just played along. Too many red flags, too much silence. What happened the night Whitney died? Man, it plays out like some twisted horror movie. Her body stayed in that hotel suite for hours after the medics declared her gone. Hours. Meanwhile, downstairs, that glitzy Grammy party rolled on like nothing ever happened. We're talking red carpet glam, champagne toasts, and celebs in tuxedos and glittery gowns, all while investigators were literally walking through the same hotel, trying to piece together what just happened upstairs. It was surreal, cold, and for a lot of people, just straight up disrespectful. And through all this chaos, Diana Ross, the woman Whitney called an icon, someone she looked up to for years, didn't come to the funeral. Not only that, but she allegedly asked Whitney's family not to mention her at all during the service. Who even does that, especially when you're seen as close? Over time, fans have started connecting dots, saying maybe Whitney wasn't just unlucky, maybe she was set up, and maybe Diana knew something. Some even believe her absence was a silent protest, or maybe self-protection. And don't forget Bobby Brown's claims. He's gone on record more than once saying that Nick Gordon, the man tied to both Whitney and her daughter Bobby Christina, might have played a dark role in both their deaths. That ain't just theory. That's coming from someone who lived it. When you look at all the strange behavior, the timeline gaps, and all the things folks have tried to bury over the years, it becomes clear. This was never just some accident in a bathtub. Could it be that Diana and Whitney's relationship wasn't as sweet as it looked in public? Maybe Diana didn't want to face the media circus. Or maybe she didn't want to be tied to how messy Whitney's final days really were. But here's the part that still don't sit right. Why would she ask to not even be mentioned at the funeral? Like, what was she trying to avoid? Or what message was she really sending? Was it grief? Guilt? Or was there something way deeper going on behind those Hollywood smiles? Honestly, I can't say for sure, but I want to hear from you. Why do you think Diana skipped Whitney's funeral? Was she hiding something or making a statement? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss the next deep dive. I'll catch y'all in the next one.